Settle in. The story starts here. I was changing the sheets when something rolled out from under the bed. At first, I thought it was an old security camera. Then I picked it up. It was a baby monitor, a white one, the kind with a tiny camera on the front, the kind that lets someone watch and listen. There was just one problem. My husband and I didn't have children. I walked into the living room holding it. Have you ever seen this before? He barely looked up from the TV. No, probably left by the previous owners. That didn't make sense. We'd lived there for almost 4 years. How had it suddenly appeared now? I plugged it in anyway. The screen flickered. Then it came to life. A bedroom appeared. My bedroom. I slowly turned in a circle. I couldn't figure out where the camera was. I searched behind picture frames, inside the air vents, inside the smoke detector, under the dresser, behind the headboard. Nothing. That night, I barely slept. Every little noise made me wonder if someone was watching me. The next morning, I picked the monitor up again. Something about it bothered me. It wasn't dusty. It wasn't scratched. It looked new, like someone had been using it recently. That's when I made a decision. I told my husband my sister wanted me to spend the weekend with her. He smiled. Good, it'll do you some good. I packed an overnight bag, pulled out of the driveway, waved goodbye, then parked 2 streets away. I waited. 45 minutes later, his truck pulled back into the neighborhood. He was supposed to be at work. Instead, he pulled into our driveway. A few minutes later, another car arrived. A woman stepped out. She looked around, then walked into my house. My stomach dropped. I stared at the baby monitor sitting on the passenger seat. Without thinking, I turned the volume all the way up. Static, then laughter. A woman's voice. I can't believe this thing actually works. My husband laughed. I told you it would. She giggled. What if she comes home? He answered without hesitation. We'll hear her before she hears us. A few seconds passed. Then he laughed again. She'll never figure it out. Everything inside me went cold. I opened my car door, walked across the yard, unlocked my front door, closed it quietly behind me, then climbed the stairs. Neither of them heard me. They were still laughing. I stood in the bedroom doorway. The room went completely silent. The woman froze. My husband looked like he'd forgotten how to breathe. No one moved. I walked over to the dresser, set the baby monitor between them, then slowly turned the volume all the way up. The room filled with my husband's own voice. Nah, she'll never figure it out. The color drained from his face. The woman stared at the floor. He tried to speak. Nothing came out. Finally, he whispered, "Please." I looked him straight in the eyes. Looks like I did. He took 1 step toward me. "Please. Just let me explain." I shook my head. "You already did." I pointed at the baby monitor. I heard everything. The room fell silent again. Then he quietly said, "It wasn't supposed to happen like this." I laughed. Not because it was funny, because after everything I'd heard, that was the best lie he could come up with. I slipped my wedding ring off my finger, placed it beside the baby monitor. Then I looked at the woman. "You can have him." She couldn't even look me in the eye. I looked back at my husband. "You didn't lose me today. You lost me the day you decided protecting your secret was more important than protecting your marriage." I turned around, walked out of the bedroom, walked out of the house, and never looked back. The divorce took almost a year. During discovery, I learned he'd ordered the baby monitor online nearly 11 months earlier. One receiver stayed hidden in our bedroom, the other stayed in his truck. Every time I opened the garage, every time I unlocked the front door, every time I walked upstairs, the monitor warned them. It gave them just enough time to stop talking, hide the evidence, and pretend nothing had happened. My attorney called it one of the strongest pieces of evidence in the entire case. It didn't just prove the affair, it proved planning, intent. Nearly a year of carefully orchestrated deception. When the judge read through the timeline, he didn't see one bad decision. He saw hundreds of deliberate ones. In the end, I kept the house, most of our savings, my retirement, and almost everything we built together. He thought that baby monitor would protect the life he wanted to keep. Instead, it became the very thing that helped me take almost all of it away. He bought that baby monitor so he'd always know when I was coming home. He never imagined it would be the thing that sent him packing instead. Every story leaves a question. If the very thing someone used to hide the truth became the reason they lost everything, would you call that justice or karma?